Welcome to the Fort Walton Beach Business Forum. I'm Bill Roberts with Barnes Insurance and Financial Services and also the 2017 Chair of the Greater Fort Walton Beach Chamber of Commerce. Our first guest today is a friend, a board of director on the Chamber, Henry Kelley. And Henry, your title with this Okaloosa School Board is Director of Community Affairs.
That's right.
Correct?
That is.
And Henry, as a board of director, is also chair of what used to be our government affairs, but now community affairs. So Henry, you're the director of community affairs with the school and the chair of community affairs with the chamber. What's going on here, man?
Well, Bill, as you know, it's fun to be out in the public, and the first hat I'll put on is the school district director of community affairs, as this is the business forum on behalf of the superintendent, Mary Beth Jackson, the 5 members of our school board, and the 3,500 employees and 30,000 students that constitute the Okaloosa County School District. I just want to share that last week we got our annual school grades. As students get theirs, the district, and we were ranked as the number 2 school district in the state of Florida out of 67 counties, and we were only one of 3 counties to receive an overall A rating. And so, the school district is something the business and the community should be very proud of.
Very proud of. What a fantastic number, Henry. It helps us understanding that our kids are in the school system, our grandkids are in the school system. But as a chamber trying to attract businesses to Fort Walton Beach, what's the first question the business is going to ask? What's your school system like?
What's your school system? And Bill, while we're here for the Fort Walton Beach Chamber, one of my favorite things is whenever I speak to any chamber, realtors, that sort of thing, I say, when someone moves here, we can say, no matter where your child lives in Okaloosa County, they're going to be in a good school.
Absolutely.
And so, our schools are a real source of pride, and we have a lot of great, both what people consider college readiness programs, but we also have a lot of career and tech education. We are one of the top 10 counties in Florida for career and technical education. So we are the only school district that ranks in the top 10 in both college readiness and career readiness. So we are providing workers for our restaurants. We have a robust culinary program in 4 of our schools, traditional things, welding programs, which we're going to be growing, automotive. So we have a lot of great things in our school district, regardless, whether a child is on a college path or a career path, we are there for them.
Just a lot of opportunities for the kids.
Absolutely.
Well, that's great. Let's talk about your chamber hat
That's
a little
right.
bit. It was government affairs until a couple of months ago. Now it's community affairs. Talk about that name change.
Right. One of the things that members of the chamber that I love being a member is, we have over 2,000 members, and the opportunity to, find people, both business contacts, but also to make a difference here in our community. And the chamber has led the way on things like One Hopeful Place, the homeless shelter, the Gulfview Motel, and creating a welcome center, and those sorts of things. And so we took a look at, government affairs is kind of narrow. And so many things involve the government, but also involve the community as a whole. And so we wanted to kind of bring a different feel to it, to say, well, sometimes it's working with churches, sometimes it's working with nonprofits, sometimes it's working with the government, but it takes all of those things in the business community to bring about real positive change. And I think as we've looked around the greater Fort Walton Beach area, we're seeing hotels building, we're seeing new construction, and we're seeing growth. And as part of the chamber, the Community Affairs Committee represents an opportunity to kind of be involved in those long-term planning and those special things that make a community really special.
Exactly. And, if you really want to know what's going on in the community, if you want to feel a part of it, hey, we meet, because I come to your committee meetings. I've been an active member of the Community Affairs, but the time and date?
It's the second Thursday of the month at 8 a.m., and we meet at the Greater Fort Walton Beach Chamber of Commerce office on the highway, on Highway 98 in downtown Fort Walton Beach.
Great discussions. It's always a current topic. One of those topics that's been well discussed in the chamber and in our community affairs is the Triumph dollars.
Right, and to me, Bill, of all the things that went on in Tallahassee this year, the greatest one that will have impact for the rest of our lives is the passing of the Triumph Gulf Coast legislation. That legislation, as you know, was passed as a response to the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill. And we have finally, it's a $1.5 billion settlement to the 8 most affected counties, of which Okaloosa is one. And there is a 7-member board that is going to start operating on July 1st of this year. They're going to receive their first $300 million in approximately 2 weeks of that $1.5 billion settlement. And that money is designated for what they call transformative projects. And as part of the chamber, it's been very exciting, the meetings we've had with community leaders, both government and nonprofit and educational, as to where we see and have that input into what our community is going to look like in 10, 20,
Right.
30 years.
Our chamber is fortunate to have good friends in Tallahassee, and Senator Gaynor, Senator Broxton, Representative Ponder,
Yes.
who helped make sure those dollars came back, as you said, to the 8 most affected counties.
Absolutely. As the Chamber Community Affairs Director, I spent a lot of miles zipping back and forth to Tallahassee during session to speak with our senators and Representative Ponder and J.R. Williamson on the north end about this legislation and providing our feedback. There were contentious moments during the as the bills, do they do this or do they do that? And it's very nice to have a panel and a committee to kind of talk through it and say, hey, what do we think's the best thing? And then have the representation that we can speak to directly.
Right. And our chamber's now involved, and we want to make sure that Okaloosa County gets its fair share of this first
Right.
$300 million. So as you know, because you've been to the meetings, we have a subgroup. We've brought together people from the cities. Our chamber and the other 3 chambers are trying to build a consensus that when we go to the commissioners or the Triumph Committee for funds, that we have a priority of projects we want to see funded. I know you're involved in that because you're bringing projects from the school system.
Right. And that's the thing, though, that I think, Bill, you and I have talked about this, not on the camera before, but, one of the things, the relationship between the chamber and the government and the community as a whole is, the government can set favorable conditions for business to thrive, or they can set unfavorable conditions. And we've seen both. And so, kind of my objective with the chamber is to make sure that our community is a place that both business and things, parks and everything that makes a community a great place to live are represented, and so that our business people have the right conditions and they want to invest and they want to grow here in the greater Fort Walton Beach area.
Well, Henry, thank you for serving as a
Yes.
board of director, as the chair of community affairs, and all you do in the school system. Please stay tuned. We'll be back with our next guest.